Hi guys, it's Miss Minero. I am actually right now going through some of your body paragraph documents, and I've kind of noticed some issues with your analysis, particularly in what we are calling the elaboration section of your squeeze paragraphs. So I quickly threw this together. It's definitely not perfect, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of remember what analysis is. We've done this the entire marking period. We did this with Where Are You Going, Where Have You Been, A Family Supper, and I want to make sure that you know what you're doing, and that way you can revise your body paragraphs moving forward. All right, so let's go to the next slide. So really, I know it can be difficult to get out of that summary explaining rut. It's much easier to summarize than analyze, but you need to make sure that you're analyzing your quotes. Now, some tips to do this. First thing, make sure that you have a really good quote. If your quote's not strong, you're not going to be able to analyze it. You want to make sure that it's supporting your topic sentence and your thesis statement. Now, if you pick the wrong quote, like I said, you're going to really struggle. A lot of you, I think, realize this with your Never Let Me Go essays. So again, you have more time to do this. This is not a timed essay. Find strong quotes. All right. The next thing you want to do to make sure you're analyzing is break the quote into parts. Think back to what we've done in class. Underline, highlight those words that are jumping out to you. We really want to make sure that we're focusing on things such as diction in your analysis. All right, this is slightly cut off at the bottom, but what it's saying there is you want to explore the author's diction, symbolism, syntax, which is sentence structure, use of figurative language, character motives, etc., within the quote. All right, so you need to rely on the quote. Don't jump around and say, well, on this page, this happened. You have a quotation for a reason. All right, make sure that you're examining the author's diction, symbolism, and syntax. Now, you don't have to analyze all of these for each quote, but you want to really dig in, break down that quote. All right. Again, if you're applying any specific critical lenses that are part of your argument, this is where you can apply some of those theories. For instance, for psychological, kind of break down the character's psyche. That would make sense for analysis. All right. And again, make sure that you have textual support for your analysis. You can't say things that are not supported by the text. All right. You only will include a brief summary only if it's important to discuss your analysis. All right. Now, these are things you don't want to do. All right, don't just summarize the quote and think that you've written an analysis. You want to do a little bit more than that. Remember, break down the quote, dig deeper. You do not want to include the phrase, in my opinion, anywhere in this paper, all right? Or any other first person pronoun, singular or plural. No I, me, my, no we, our, us, all right? Do not include first person. Also, you do not want to talk about a connection you personally have with the quote. This is more like a reader response. We are not doing reader response for this paper. So some questions that will help you get to analysis, and I will make sure I post a doc with these as well for you to reference after this presentation. All right, what is weird or interesting about this passage? What is jumping out to you? What words or other characteristics, like I said, jump out to you or seem striking, incongruous? Look at those words. All right, what words seem to have multiple meanings? This again is looking at denotation, literal meaning versus connotation, which is the deeper socially constructed meaning. Right? What connotations do these words carry? How do these connotations relate to your topic sentence and your thesis? All right. Think about why the author chose these words instead of others. Authors have unlimited vocabulary at their disposal. Their word choice, especially in short fiction, is really important, and it's picked for a reason. All right. So you want to think about what caused the author to choose a specific word. Right? And what effect do the words the author choose? What effect do those words have on the passage's significance and the issue that you're examining? All right, this is really important when we talk about line of reasoning. You want to make sure everything connects. I think this is the last one. What work do particular words or metaphors in the passage you've just quoted perform, and how do they perform that work? All right, so what is the purpose? You don't want to just point out a metaphor if there's a metaphor. What is it doing? Why is it doing that? So we're going to look at a very, very short sample. This is a quote from The House on Mango Street. So the quote says, because the way you grow old is kind of like an onion, or like the rings inside of a tree trunk, or like my wooden dolls that fit inside each other, each year inside the next one. That's how being 11 years old is. Oh. So a sample analysis here. would say, I think that the author wants the reader to feel sad. The narrator is sad. She's 11. If you look at this, it's very repetitive. You should not be including a question in your analysis. It's kind of scattered and all over the place. There are some kind of glimmers of analytical potential here, talking about the emotional component of onions and how, it's associated with sadness and tears and crying. But there's really not a lot here. All right. So when you're doing that elaboration section of your squeeze, you need to look at word choice. So if we look at a bit better of an analysis, other than being longer, let me hack this quickly. All right. Here we're looking at the use of similes. All right. Talking about the visualization of growing outward. We have a lot more detail here. We talk about the author's tone. They talk about long-winded syntax. It's kind of a long kind of idea here. So you can look at the author's use of sentence structure. All right. When we look at the three different aspects the narrator is using, they represent different parts of their life. Again, we're analyzing symbolism. All right. That wooden dolls too. Childhood is quickly outgrowing one inside of the other. All right. So really what I want you to think, and again, I will post a Google Doc version of this for you, is what differences can you note other than the length between these two analyses? There are big differences in the analytical approach. So I'm just going to pause this real quickly so I can jump into a Google Doc to show you a little bit more. Okay, so I'm just going to exit that. All right, so welcome back. So we're going to look at another doc that I will share with you called kind of training wheels. All right, so as a reminder, when you are typing your body paragraphs, you need to start with an argumentative topic sentence. All right, you'll have 1 to 2 sentences of context. What does the reader need to know before you introduce your quote? You'll integrate and cite that quotation, and then you'll have your analysis. This is where you're doing that explaining, evaluate, and synthesize per our squeeze paragraph. All right, and then you'll always end with a concluding sentence. This will relate your evidence and your analysis back to your thesis statement. Now, you can have up to 2 quotes per body paragraph, but make sure that if you do this, you're kind of going through the steps again. So the student sample here, this is a paper that I had handed in probably about 4 years ago. All right, this student read a story called The German Refugee, and their thesis statement was about the Nazi regime and how it forced Oscar out of his country, dumping him into a diaspora where he develops a loss of individual and collective cultural identity. All right, and this demonstrated the common struggle immigrants face as they strive to assimilate. So what they did here is we have a topic sentence bolded, right? A very clear focus. It contains argumentation. It is related to the thesis. Next, we have underlined is the context for you. This bridges that topic sentence into the quotation. What background do we need to know? All right, here the student wrote about the strains Oscar encounters while learning the language. All right, then we have your quotation. It is cited. Here we are using a colon. And we have your citation. Author's last name, page number, period goes after the quotation. All right, now following this, the writer does use analysis and examines the author's use of simile and diction, all right, to elaborate how Oscar has been dehumanized and robbed of his identity. All right, we have word choice here. Now the period should go inside. This was copied from students. More copy, and we kind of dig into kind of that larger idea. Now here we have additional context. The student did use 2 quotations. I would like the student to do a little bit more elaboration. They only looked at 1 word choice. I think there probably could be a little bit more from that quotation. All right, he talks about I feel unexpressed, but there's so much in this quote about being useless, especially my tongue hangs useless. A lot that you could unpack there. All right, now moving into the second quotation, we have context. It is integrated, again, and cited. All right, and again, here the writer uses analysis, examining diction and personification as they contribute to the character's struggles with language. All right, this all is connected directly to the topic sentence. It relates to the thesis, and the writer is using the quotations and textual evidence to support. So that analysis always is, again, in support of what is trying to be proven there. All right, and lastly, bolded, we have that concluding sentence connecting back to the thesis. So I'm just going to pop on over to the doc that you had last week. All right, so what you should have done here, type your story title, inserted your hand turkey. All right, here where it says topic sentence, there's a colon. you should be typing your topic sentence here. If you did not do that last week, make sure you're doing it on this week's document. All right, a lot of you were not typing one and then highlighting these questions, and I had no idea what you're talking about. All right, now this here is for your use. We have done these with so many texts, the squeeze formula, exactly looking like this. So again, you have your quote here with a citation. Explain. This is where you just break it down. All right, what's going on here? Put it in your own words. Elaborate. This is where you're struggling. All right. Think about the notes we just went over. How can you break down this quote's diction, syntax, tone, figurative language, imagery to support your topic sentence? All right. If you feel your quote has nothing for you to dig into, then you need to find a new quote. All right. Lastly, you have synthesis. All right. So what? Why does this matter? What is it saying about the work as a whole? How does this connect to the world beyond the text? All right. You want to make sure you connect it to your thesis statement. Now, if you're doing more than one quote, then you do a transition and then you kind of go through this process again. Now, again, that is optional. Now, some of you have topic sentences that you need more than one quote. All right. If you don't need more than one quote, just make sure that analysis and that elaboration is spot on. Now, this is another part where some of you are completely, I don't know if you just didn't read it. You were supposed to type your body paragraph here. All right. If you did not type your body paragraphs, I am unsubmitting and making you resubmit. All right. If you have any questions, please email me. I'm here to help you. I am keeping office hours from 10 to 1 every day. Remember, you can use that Google form to Google Sheet to sign up for a meeting with me. And I'm also responding to email during school hours, usually from 8 to 3:30 every day. All right. I want to help you. I know this is a struggle to do at home without any kind of support that you'd get in the classroom, but I am here to help you as best as I can. All right. I hope to talk to some of you via email or Zoom soon.